Donald Trump doesn't want you to know how panicked he is, but he's making it very clear in every action he takes. Attacking Barack Obama with a nonsense conspiracy theory, shutting down Congress, and now trying to buy off Ghislaine Maxwell with a pardon. Donald Trump is clearly freaking out, not just in public, but behind the scenes as well. And we saw that in a call that just leaked between Trump and a close advisor demonstrating how panicked he is. We're going to get into it all and how it is rocking this Epstein scandal. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into what Donald Trump had to say on this call and why it is so bad for him in this moment, I want to start with a bit of breaking news from our friend Tim Miller.
Supposedly there's a SharePoint file that includes all of the Trump mentions. So if they wanted to end the story, on the cover-up part of the story, they could just release the Trump mentions that they have gathered, that FBI agents have gathered, and let people decide for themselves. I like that seems to like a very clear and easy way for them to get out of the cover-up story, and they don't want to do it. And I think that is eyebrow-raising.
Absolutely. By the same token, like they're busy going to court saying we need permission to release grand jury information, but the information you're talking about is not grand jury information. That is something that they have the exclusive ability to disclose. You know how you know that, aside from that's the law, is they just disclosed the Martin Luther King Jr. files. So they know how to do this. They're constantly releasing stuff that they think would be helpful to them. And so that is a perfectly good question.
So what Tim and Andrew Weissman were discussing in that clip is a piece of news that we recently talked about, that the FBI has compiled a digital server of all of the mentions of Donald Trump in the Epstein files, whether those be photos, videos, articles, documents, flight logs, mentioning his name, anything. It is all compiled in one place. And what's so important about that, as is mentioned, is they can just release it if they want. Now, if that's not the clearest description of a cover-up, like, I don't know what is. They have the files. They have the information. Trump's name is in it. We already know that. Why won't they release it? It's important to also point out the fact that this information even came out in the first place, that leaks are coming out of the FBI in the meeting that was discussed, that was recently reported on between Trump and Pam Bondi, in which he was told he was in the Epstein files. The fact that that got out really goes to show you everything you need to know and why Donald Trump is screaming like this when his conversations around Epstein are brought up.
What are you hoping Todd Blanche interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell, what are you hoping that they get out of that?
I really have really nothing to say about it. She is being talked to by a very smart man, by a very good man, Todd Blanche. And I don't know anything about the conversation. I haven't really been following it. A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons. But a lot of people have asked about pardon. This is just not a time to be talking about pardons. Todd will come back with whatever he's got. You're making a very big thing over something that's not a big thing. You should be talking about, if you're going to talk about that, talk about Clinton. Talk about the former president of Harvard. Talk about all of his friends. Talk about the hedge fund guys that were with him all the time. Don't talk about Trump. What you should be talking about is the fact that we have the greatest 6 months in the history of a presidency, according to a lot of people. And we had an amazing 6 months. And
distract and deflect is the name of the game for Donald Trump. That is what he wants to be doing right now. He wants you focused on and discussing anything but him. He does not want you paying attention to this story, and if you have to, make it Barack Obama's fault. Make it Joe Biden's fault somehow. And that's the strategy, explicitly, because a panicked Trump was asking former Fox host Bill O'Reilly for advice, and O'Reilly decided to just share that entire call, and the story explaining it really gives some great insight to how panicked Trump is. Trump calls alleged sexual harasser for advice on Epstein. Bill O'Reilly has advised Donald Trump to do something out of character. O'Reilly, the former Fox News host who settled several multi-million-dollar sexual harassment lawsuits from Fox employees, said he discussed Epstein with the president during a phone call on Friday morning before Trump's departure to Scotland. I gave the president my view of how to handle it. Pretty much what I told you guys. Don't talk about it, O'Reilly revealed on No Spin News. I don't think that President Trump should answer any questions about Epstein, he added Friday on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. He should defer to the Justice Department 100%. I would not, as president, allow myself to be besieged by this story. O'Reilly added that while he believes the controversy over Trump's relationship with Epstein has been tiring, Trump told him otherwise. Assured me he's got no deficit there, he said. So what's so important about this call to me and why I thought it was big news is that Donald Trump is calling Bill O'Reilly for advice. Now, clearly these guys are friendly enough. But the fact that Trump is reaching out to anybody and everybody to get their take, to help him spin, he should have advisors from the DOJ, Pam Bondi, his White House communication staff telling him how to handle this crisis, not some washed up Fox host. It's insane how scared Donald Trump is in this moment. We've never seen him so rattled. The fact that he's getting on the phone in the morning and calling up his buddies, pleading for advice, worrying about what's happening next, just shows how rattled he is. And I think the Ghislaine of it all has a lot to do with this. Donald Trump sees it as his last-ditch effort to cover himself up. I can already see it now, and friend of the show Keith Edwards tweeted it this morning. Donald Trump's going to bring in Ghislaine Maxwell, have her testify, have her name a couple of billionaires, some tech elites, some other people, not named Donald Trump, say he was fine. Donald Trump's going to praise her for revealing all these clients. He's going to say he got them. Then he's going to give her a pardon for telling the truth. That's what Donald Trump thinks is going to happen. I'm not sure if that's the case. And we saw Tim Miller and more Andrew Weissman break it down right here.
And these actions are just evil. This is a person that engaged in evil actions for decades. To Julie's point, hundreds of victims. Think about that, hundreds over multiple decades. She was the ringleader. She was the organizer of all this. So I just like the idea that you'd receive any leniency as preposterous. And if you ostensibly are one of the folks on the MAGA right that cared about predation against children and child sex trafficking, then you should be just outraged and gobsmacked that the president of the United States would even suggest that it could be an open idea to pardon such a horrific individual. So we'll see what the I'm sure we'll get kind of, different responses from different corners of MAGA. But I think that what I expect that they're doing, we'll see. So this is a prediction. We'll check back in next week and see if I'm wrong. But what I'm guessing is that they want to get information from her about people that were co-conspirators and complicit in this that are opponents of Donald Trump. And he mentioned on the tarmac today, I believe Bill Clinton and Larry Summers. I know nothing about about Larry Summers, but obviously there are plenty of pictures with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. But those are the names that Trump mentioned. I suspect they want her to provide some, and this is a proven liar, by the way, somebody who did perjury in the past, but they want her to provide some information about people that are opponents of Trump in the hopes that they can move the news cycle on from focus on Trump into focus on people that are political opponents, and that she'll get some kind of deal in exchange. Maybe that's not what their plan is, but I think that seems like to be the most likely. I mean, they've tried the distraction strategy with whatever Obama committed Russia hoax crimes, and like that isn't even working in MAGA world. That's so ridiculous. So they've got to find some other way to move the focus off of Trump, and maybe they're hoping that Ghislaine Maxwell can provide that, or maybe they're hoping that she can provide some exoneration for Trump, though, I mean, again, hard to see how that would actually fix the story, given that there would still be a lot of remaining questions.
I mean, Andrew Weissman, I needed a theory, and that is an informed one. But if that's your theory and that's your play, why wouldn't you ask Maureen Comey, or why wouldn't you ask the victims? Why would you go to the pedophile on the bingo board?
So I think it's important here to connect the dots with the other cases. So let's just take the Eric Adams case, Mayor Eric Adams, where this administration learned to shut out the career people. If you are trying to get the defendant, or in this case, Ghislaine Maxwell, to say something that will help Donald Trump. If that's your goal, and it's not about sort of justice writ large, it is like continuation of your work for the president. In other words, you were his personal attorney and you are still essentially operating as his personal attorney. If that's your goal, you do not want the career prosecutors and agents in the room for the same reason you didn't want them in the room for Eric Adams, because you're not engaging in what's in the public interest. You're engaging in what is in Donald Trump's interest. And whether that is to exonerate Donald Trump, as Tim suggested, or whether it's to implicate other people, so it's sort of a distraction, those are things that Todd Blanche can do and can do better when he doesn't have career people in the room. But watch for this. Watch for whether there are career people, career agents and prosecutors who write the same kind of letter and submission that we saw in the Eric Adams case, saying what is going on stinks to high heaven, because they know the facts. They will know whether this is a corrupt deal. They will know whether Ghislaine Maxwell should be believed in terms of what she is saying, whether you could actually even do, just to be clear, just so people understand what's going on in my head, there is no way you can do a thorough interview and know what Ghislaine Maxwell has to offer truthfully in 2 days if you are not already steeped in the facts. 2 days is already way too short, even if you know the facts, to make that kind of judgment. And so all of that is a huge red flag. And to me, this could end up really blowing up in their face if they are doing this for the reasons Tim suggests, because there are people here who actually do know the facts, one of whom they just fired, which is Maureen Comey.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's going to be any love lost in terms of her, trying to step up and say what is the truth and what is not the truth.
I think this really does have the possibility of backfiring in a horrific way for Donald Trump. I think that because, one, a pardon of Ghislaine Maxwell, no matter how MAGA mindset you are, how much you are indoctrinated in the cult, I don't know how they spin that. Two, this is someone who's committed perjury before. I don't think anyone's going to be banking much on her testimony. And three, at this point, you can't call it transparency. They've coached her. They're working out their quid pro quo. You can't call this transparency. This isn't a win for Donald Trump opening up the files, no matter what way you try to spin it. And they're gonna. This is Donald Trump just covering for himself. And we're going to report it that way. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.